that news conference there that there are 2 victims that have been confirmed dead. They were not students, and also 6 people have been injured. Let's bring back in Special Operations Commander, retired Air Force, and national security expert Glenn Ignazio. Glenn, obviously we waited a long time for this news conference. We can probably see why. Touches very close to home for all of those involved. They also added this Felix Eichner had been on the youth advisory, and they said they weren't surprised. He also had a shotgun on him, but they're not saying potentially that he was using that shotgun, but he was using a handgun. Give us your reaction to the details that they were able to share. Very, very tight-lipped, though, on the victims. And do you think there's a reason why for that?
Yeah, I believe that just as yourself, and I'm sure everybody else in the law enforcement community down there is shocked that this is connected so closely to a sheriff. And I believe that this sheriff, if they knew that something was going to be done by their son, that they would have taken action on this. So that's how surprising some of these things can be. At the same time as this is prosecuted, they are still going to have to investigate to make sure there was nobody else coordinated. A person at hand just before I went on air with you reported that they saw him step out of a Hummer. He was wearing an orange T-shirt, shorts, and he had a rifle, which turned out to be a shotgun and a handgun. And as soon as he turned, he shot somebody on the sidewalk. So we knew that there was that individual. But did he drive or somebody else drive him? So there are so many complexities to this that they're going to continuously investigate, research to see how he operated and if it's solo. At the same time, the reason of not to get into what's going on with the patients or the people that have been hurt is, first of all, is to give them complete time to heal and keep them that separated from that, and let the law enforcement investigate and talk to them about what happened. So that's the reason why we have that set up right now.
And the 2 deceased, tragically, in this, and now we have confirmation, are not students. But they did clarify and also say they were not law enforcement. So we will await to see if they are teachers, faculty, or people just who happen to be maybe vendors on this campus. This is a massive, sprawling campus here in Tallahassee. You know, there was another interesting question where they said, is this veteran, 18-year veteran deputy of the Leon County Sheriff's Department, is she put on leave? And they said, no, not right now. Obviously, this is so close to home. You're going to see sort of, you know, the next few days, I think, really, you know, break open sort of, you know, the mindset, perhaps, the training. I think when they say youth advisory, if you're in youth advisory and you grew up in your mom's in the sheriff's department, just kind of give us an idea of the types of things you would know. You would know about law enforcement. You would know about, you know, crime in general and how law enforcement responds to crimes like this, Glenn.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. How the sheriff, for herself, she's probably traumatized from this, and so they probably have pulled her off of active duty, as you would say, but there's nothing administrative as far as any kind of penalty or anything. Of course, they're going to be definitely taking care of her both psychologically, mentally, and also interrogating her as far as, you know, what did she see? So there's that aspect to it. The other thing about the youth advisory is, yes, he's worked with the law enforcement. It's sort of like that auxiliary that you see where kids want to grow up to be law enforcement, but also being a student at FSU, you don't know if he's been involved with coordination. So he had a lot of awareness of the campus, had a lot of understanding of how the law enforcement operates. And in all honesty, the quick response and everything is probably what saved a lot more people, because he really knew the operations and the layout of the campus to do even more harm. So it is a tough situation, and this is impacting people psychologically on the law enforcement side as much as the students themselves.
I'm sure it is. As they said, they will prosecute this to the fullest extent of the law. Glenn Ignazio, thank you so much for staying with us as we learned some very disturbing new information about today's shooting on the campus of FSU in Tallahassee. Appreciate your time and your analysis. Again, we